channel. Today I'm going to tell you a few things about why it sucks to live in Colorado Springs. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but every city has a bad side, and today I'm going to tell you about ours. I'll let you decide if you think the pros outweigh the cons and if you still want to move here after this. Obviously, I think they do. I still live here. I've lived in Colorado Springs for 7 years now, and I absolutely love it. But there are a few downsides. So before we get to it, please like this video and subscribe to our channel to learn everything there is to know about what it's like to live in Colorado Springs. Okay, so the first thing is how dry it is here. And not everybody has as bad as issues as I do, but for me, it really affects my skin, and I actually didn't even realize until recently. I went on vacation to Florida, where obviously it's very humid, and I didn't put lotion on at all. I didn't put any chapstick on, and I came home like glowing. Like my acne was completely gone. So the environment here is just super dry, and it really dries out my skin. I have dry skin anyways, and it just makes it that much worse, and it's a losing battle for me. Sometimes in the winter, like the skin on my face will literally like start flaking, and I seriously try so hard to keep it under control, you know, the regular exfoliating and moisturizing, but it just is not enough. And sometimes like my hands will literally just burn because they're so dry, like it hurts. And when I used to work outside, they would literally crack and split and bleed, and it was painful, and it's just no joke. So if you also have dry skin, definitely be prepared for that and do everything you can, although it still kind of feels like a losing battle. In addition to that, it also leads to a lot of fire bans, and we often have firework bans over 4th of July and stuff, and just over the summer in general. So that's kind of a bummer if you are into those things, fireworks and that stuff. I personally go to a lot of concerts at Red Rocks Amphitheater, and that's my favorite place on earth. I have been going since 2015. And I try to make it like 5 to 10 times a season. And I did not even know until 2019 that they could do fireworks at Red Rocks. Like the columns on the stage shoot out fireworks. Because there'd always been a fire ban, I didn't even know that was possible. So when we saw that, it totally blew our minds, because literally had no idea that they could do fireworks because they haven't been able to for so many years. So that is something that you need to be cautious about. Everything is very dry, so even like flicking a cigarette butt out the window, that causes a lot of fires here. And sometimes they even have fire bans, like when you're camping, you're not allowed to have fires. So just be cautious and be aware that that is an issue that we have here. The second downside for me, and probably a lot of people my age, is gonna be things to do and like nightlife type of stuff. There is a lot of things to do outdoors, so if you love hiking, you're never gonna run out of trails. But like I mentioned, I like going to concerts a lot. I often go to Red Rocks, which is fabulous. I love the venue. But I do just wish that there was a little something more in Colorado Springs as far as like a music venue or something. Because I think we have a few. We have what's called the Black Sheep, and that's a really small music venue. They do a lot of events there, but it's nothing big. It's a very small venue. And then we also have the World Arena, which is a super massive venue, and they only do really big stuff there, and they don't only do concerts, so they do like Disney on Ice and that kind of stuff. And then when they do have concerts, it's like really big names. I know Carrie Underwood performed there one year, and I can't remember, there was another big one recently, but there's not like a lot of concerts, and when there are, it's like those really big stadium concerts, which also isn't really my thing. So if you're into that kind of stuff, You're probably going to be making the trip to Denver quite often. They have a lot of music venues and a lot of concerts happen in Denver. You're going to find a lot at Red Rocks, obviously. And on a good day, Red Rocks is probably like an hour drive. If you're going to hit some rush hour traffic, it can be an hour and a half, 2 hours if you're super unlucky. And it's not a big deal getting there to me. To me, it's coming home and having to drive an hour home after a 4-hour concert, and then you're leaving there at midnight, you know, fighting the parking lot to get out, and then there's always construction on the interstate. It's just kind of a hassle. And your other option is, of course, like getting a room up there, spending more money. And I go to so many concerts that I can't get a room for every single one. I'd be wasting my money. So yeah, it's really unfortunate for me and people that are into those kinds of things, as well as, you know, general nightlife. Like if you like clubbing or going to bars, we are definitely lacking a good scene here. We do have a few bars. They're okay, and my favorite ones, I think it's Blondie's, and I think it's called the Mansion. They have rooftops, so that's kind of what I like to do if I do go out, is the rooftop ones. But otherwise, I'm not really into the nightlife here. And especially if you're looking to do any sort of like other type of bar, especially like a gay bar, there's only one in town, and it's not even downtown, so it's not like clustered with anything else. So if you're looking for a little more culture for young people, nightlife, concerts, events, stuff like that, Colorado Springs definitely is lacking in that area. My third downside to Colorado Springs is I feel like the crime rate is a little high. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I don't like to really dive into statistics and stuff. I know that's all on Google, you can look it up yourself, but I wasn't sure on this. I couldn't tell. I am from a small town, maybe I have, you know, small town syndrome. Where I'm from, people don't really lock their cars when they go to Walmart, people don't really lock their front doors all the time. So maybe the transition is just, maybe this is how a city is. But I did look it up, and the information I read, I believe, was about 2019 crime rates. And it did say that Colorado Springs is more dangerous, has a higher crime rate than about 90% of the country. So we're in the top 10% of like least safe places to live. And another source I read ranked us as number 7, 100 being safe and 0 being least safe. So 7 is not very safe. That said, I personally have not encountered a lot of like violence. Most of my friends have not been involved in anything crazy. It's not like every person has a story, but do be aware of your surroundings, especially if you are coming from somewhere small like I did. It will be a change. You definitely need to be locking your car and your door at home, and don't leave anything like valuable in your car. I would say that's the most of like what I've experienced as far as crime. I've had some friends get their cars broken into. I live on the west side of town, which is generally like a so-so as far as safety. It's not the least safe, but it's not the best either, because we are so close to downtown. And my boyfriend's window was actually like shot out with some sort of pellet gun, and it appeared that somebody had just walked down the street and shot out like 10 cars worth of windows. So you have that kind of stuff going on. Obviously that's not like super violent, but just know that yes, Colorado Springs does rank as a less safe place to live than 90% of the country. So just be aware. I don't think it's anything that necessarily should, you know, sway you from not living here. I think that Colorado Springs definitely offers way more than, you know, just the crime rate. So, but just be aware of that. My fourth and final point of why it sucks to live in Colorado Springs is something that a lot of people are concerned with, whether they're passing through or new to the area, or even people that just have been living here forever. I think the problem has gotten a lot worse in recent years, and I'm not exactly sure why, but it is true. Colorado Springs has a pretty bad homelessness problem. I'm not exactly sure why. I suspect that it also has something to do with how great our weather is, because you're essentially able to survive outdoors. It doesn't get super hot, and there's only a few days that are like deathly during the winter. It's nothing like North Dakota or Minnesota. You're not going to see a lot of homeless people there because it's -20 throughout the winter, so it just doesn't get that cold here. So I think it's a pretty comfortable place to survive outdoors. That said, I mean, they have to live somewhere. I try to think about it with grace. They are living human beings and they have to live somewhere, and it's unfortunate that that place is our streets. So if you are concerned about homelessness, you will see most homeless people around downtown Colorado Springs. So that's gonna stretch from about Uinta to like Cheyenne. Nevada is like the main street that runs through downtown, and we have a little thing about South Nevada is a very popular place for transient people, a lot of homeless people. There's a lot of motels that rent out, you know, daily or hourly or whatever they do, but people are, you know, living in that part of town and living on the streets. And then it kind of can stretch a little bit east of downtown, I would say towards Memorial Park, as well as west of downtown, which is kind of the area I live in. Again, it's like we call it the West Side. It's also called Old Colorado City, and it is a very desirable place to live, but at the same time, because it is so close to downtown, you do have an overflow of transient people and homeless people that you'll see on the streets, or even like sleeping next to the shops and that kind of thing. So just be aware, again, be aware of your surroundings. Most of the time they don't bother anybody. There are a few instances where somebody is screaming or yelling in the street, so don't be surprised if you do see that. But yes, we do have a homelessness problem. I would absolutely love to see that change. I am just not sure how or when it will. So those are our 4 reasons that a lot of people think Colorado Springs sucks to live in. In my opinion, there are way more pros than there are cons, so I don't let these things get me down too bad. Like I said, I absolutely love living here. I think you would too. So if you are thinking about making the move to Colorado Springs, give us a call, shoot us a text, get on our website. We would absolutely love to help you make the move to Colorado Springs. If you are interested in learning more about the area, feel free to leave us a comment below. We will have tons of new content coming out, and we would absolutely love to address any questions that you have about the area. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to learn more about what it's like to live in Colorado Springs, and I'll see you next time.